Hi, my name is Melissa Camacho, and this is my student art critique video. Today I'm going to be focusing on two paintings from two different artists, but they both have a similar concept with different approaches, both from different museums that I pulled from online. So let's get started. So the first is Reverie by John William Godward, which I pulled from the Getty Museum online, which I have actually visited in person. I think it's a beautiful museum, um, beautiful scenery, very similar to the one we see here on the painting. The second is Arabella with Cali Lilies by Mabel Alvarez. This one I pulled from LACMA online. I believe I've also gone to this in person. Also very pretty, but they're very different, I think. Both of these paintings are from the 1900s, but we could see the difference between, I think maybe late 1900s and when that was a transition into the 20th century, which changed art in a different way. The first painting I chose was pulled from the Getty's online collection, and this is an oil on canvas painting done in 1904 by John William Godward named Reverie. He was widely known for his neoclassicist and pre-Raphaelite style of art that was later overshadowed by modern art in the 20th century. He was among the last artists to focus on these themes. Godward was a British painter whose career began later in life. Despite having an interest in art at a very young age, his family didn't approve of his passion. Therefore, he worked for his father's insurance company for some time, then later began studying architecture with Hofwender. Although they can't say with accuracy for lack of documentation, they believe that Godward attended St. John's Wood Art School and Caliph's School of Art at some point in the 1800s. They do know that Godward's paintings were exhibited by the 1800s, late 1800s, at places like the Royal Academy. Godward admired works of Alma Tedma, Lord Frederick Langton, whose influences we see throughout his own work. But sadly, his life became to a tragic end when he committed suicide in 1922 at the age of 61. And one thing his suicide note said was, "The world was not big enough for him and Picasso." Now going in on the painting that I chose, the first thing I noticed was how detailed and specific colors and everything is in the picture, that I almost thought it was an actual picture and not a painting. And Godward was known for creating portraits of women, usually alone. In this we see her expression, how it looks very somber, very calm, not exactly happy, but not sad either. It just seems like she came to this secluded area to relax, to just be with herself, enjoy her own company. And this style of portrait is very common for Godward because he had a love for Greek and Roman culture. And the painting itself gives a very calm and warm feel because of the flesh colors being used. We can see it in her cheeks and how the very rose color complements the flesh colored dress she has on. Could be a dress, could be a cover, because we can see the detail and how see-through it is. We could see her leg right there on the side, and there's a certain warmth to the painting. Even in how the marble is painted, you can see in the cracks how there's a different color that almost matches the color on her dress. And then looking at the fur that she's sitting on and how very detailed it is, even in the shadow work and the back, how it shadows on the fur. and almost looks like you can run your fingers through the fur of how detailed it is. And I think although the main focus seems to be the woman sitting in the middle, we can't help to notice everything else in the painting because there is such detail to it, even the roses to the left, and the background of the ocean, the mountain, the clouds, everything is so clear. And even to her posture, she just looks very relaxed and in her own world. I think these type of paintings kind of just transport you to this state, and that's kind of what it did for me. The next painting I'll be talking about is also an oil on canvas named Arabella with Cali Lilies by Mabel Alvarez, and this was made in 1934. Mabel was born November 28, 1891 in Oahu, Hawaii. Sorry, I don't know if I'm saying it right. In a Spanish family. Although she was born in Hawaii, her family moved to Los Angeles, California when she was very young, and her artistic talent was very evident as she enrolled in Los Angeles Art School when she was very successful there. And as she began to showcase her art, she painted a mural for the Panama, California exposition in San Diego, for which she won a gold medal for. She later attended William Cahill School for Illustration and Painting in Los Angeles. And in 1917, her first portrait was displayed on what is now known as the Los Angeles County Museum of Art. She also became a member of Group of Eight, a group who had a basis in the progressive art movement in California, and her work can still be admired in exhibits like San Juan Capistrano and LACMA. She continued her career into her 60s and 70s, and she lived a long life and passed away March 13, 1985 at the age of 93 at a nursing home in Los Angeles, California. And before I get to looking at her painting, I want to share a quote that she said. She said, "I want to take all the beauty and pour it out on canvas with such radiance that all who are lost in the darkness may feel the wonder and live to it." And now looking at that painting and hearing the quote, it kind of makes sense because there is this darkness in this portrait, and it's kind of like you start to wonder, why is this woman sitting with these callies and she has such a somber, sad expression on her face? I think that was one of the first things I've noticed when I saw this portrait. And then thinking about our last painting that I showed, the difference in the style of the painting and the detail. I think, for example, in this one, there's a lot of shading and blending of colors, and there isn't a lot of harsh lines in the painting compared to Godward's. And then looking at the darkness around her, there's a blend of colors, which there isn't a clear image of anything in the background, but looking closely at it to the right, I can kind of see an image of a person, but I think the play of colors and the shading adds to the thing that you create the illusion in the back, and you see in perspective what fits and what doesn't. For example, the shading around her head has a lighter brown tone to it. It could be maybe it's a light, maybe it's like a halo effect, and I think it's all about what the viewer is seeing and what perspective you take on it. Because for me, I think I saw more of a fancier setting. For example, she has red lipstick on, because I was wondering, could this dress she has on, the white dress, be something fancier, or maybe it's a nightgown, but then you see the attention and detail of the color of her lips makes it look like it's a little bit of a fancier setting. And I think after you start to wonder who is Arabella, and why does she look so sad to be next to these beautiful Calais lilies? Is she thinking about someone? Is she waiting on someone? Um, how could she be so sad and upset sitting next to these beautiful flowers? But then you think, well, at least what I took away from this was sometimes we get lost in these dark and depressive episodes, and we get lost in our head and we fail to see the simple beauty around us. And that's what I see in this portrait. And that is all. Thank you for watching.